them.
having
We have a treaty with them called Oslo, which I'm surprised you didn't.
Norm, I'm giving you the answer. You can't hear an answer.
No, you're not giving me an answer. There's no question in front of you now.
You just asked the question, and I tried to answer. You spoke over.
The Palestinian Authority signed a treaty agreeing to the terms of Oslo.
Yes, I'm aware of the Oslo.
That's a fact.
Yes, but you're still avoiding a conversation that you don't want to have. Like, this isn't a conversation about the 1967 borders.
Yes. What about them?
I'm not talking about the 1967 borders.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the current occupation.
What's occupied? Okay, so which part is occupied if we have a treaty that agrees to this current... Yeah, tell me.
The treaty does not agree to occupation.
Who said it was an occupation? Nobody said that.
Israeli Supreme Court says it's an occupation.
I beg your pardon.
I'm just trying to give you,
I beg your pardon. We are there under a treaty. That's a contradiction.
I really did try to give you the benefit of the doubt.
We are there under a treaty signed by both sides. How can there be an occupation? True.
Disagree with the Israeli Supreme Court. Israeli Supreme Court says it's
I'm sorry. Then you are mistaken, sir.
No.
Israel's presence there was agreed to in the Oslo Accords.
Military
That's a fact.
can convey
That's not an
currency.
occupation. That's a treaty.
There's a war going on, and one country's...
So which part is occupied?
Again, according to Israeli Supreme Court, West Bank
Okay, you want to avoid the question.
military.
The Israeli Supreme Court, if they said that, it is wrong. Because Israel is there under the Oslo Accords, which you cannot dispute. If you want to dispute it, go ahead. Tell me what the Oslo Accords is.
The Israeli Supreme Court position is that West Bank is under military occupation.
Well, you'd have to show me that decision.
Israel.
I beg your pardon?
What title do you hold?
What title do I hold? Why would I have to have a title to read a treaty?
I don't know, you're speaking...
Why would I need a title to read a treaty? How can a treaty agreement be an occupation? Why would they sign a treaty and then claim somehow that the treaty that they signed is illegal? Explain what sense that makes.
Please petition the Supreme Court to explain.
I beg your pardon? I don't need to. I can read. And if you could, then you'd be better off. Read the treaty, and then tell me which part is wrong.
What does Article 31 of Oslo say?
I haven't read it. We could read it now.
You haven't read it?
Read it aloud.
Why are you bringing up Oslo? You haven't read it.
I haven't read it in a long time. I didn't memorize the articles. Just read it. Read it aloud. Let's all hear it together. Go ahead.
You can.
I'm listening.
No.
Huh? So you don't know what it says? Okay.
I don't know what it says, and I'm the one who brought it up.
Okay, so read it. Let's all
Can we get to the previous conversation?
Huh?
Like,
Huh?
Can we
Okay.
get to the previous conversation?
Are you uncomfortable?
What was the previous conversation?
So, Citizens
United.
United.
It's amazing. As soon as you get to the truth, people want to change the conversation.
Norm, you didn't get to the truth. You just lied and
We
talked
didn't?
over people.
We didn't? No,
You
it's
said
not.
you haven't read it. Hush.
I didn't read Article
Sorry,
31.
you're more mad at me than you
I
are
don't
mad at
memorize
I'm not talking about you.
guys.
I'm not talking to
Either.
you. And what are you
Norm,
talking
I
about?
apologize, because I did.
Yeah.
I haven't read it in like 10 years.
I'm not talking to you.
I take it back. I'm
So
sorry.
let's hear this article and tell us what it says. Does that affirm my position, or does it differ with my position? Article 31. Now that we figured out what intifada is to the
We
Jewish
didn't do that,
people.
actually.
Sure we did. I told you what happened. I read it to you.
You told me, but you didn't define it.
Yeah.
You have to define a word to know what
It
it
was a
means.
violent uprising by Palestinians characterized by suicide bombings of Israeli civilians in buses, cafes, and discotheques, coffee shops.
What does black power mean?
Pizza places.
What does black power mean?
It means black people have power.
Okay, so what does intifada mean?
The intifada, like the Holocaust, describes certain specific events characterized by violence against Israeli citizens, specifically suicide bombings.
So you're saying any movement, are you saying any movement of liberation that includes violence towards innocent populations should be condemned?
We haven't had such a discussion. We're talking
I'm
about the
asking you.
Intifada.
I'm asking you.
We're talking
Are you
about the
saying
Intifada.
that? Are you saying that liberative political movements that include violence towards citizen populations should be condemned?
When did I say that?
I'm asking you.
When did I say that?
You didn't. I'm asking you to make a
Okay,
stance.
if I didn't say it, why ask me if I'm saying it?
Well, because you seem to be saying that Intifada.
honest?
Because you seem to be saying that the Intifada is bad because of its attack on Israeli populations, especially civilian ones. And so I'm
Because
like,
of the
okay,
wave
well, that's a fair
Because of the
argument.
brutal genocidal wave of suicide bombings. Again, genocide being the stated
just-
intent.
is it
Hang on. I mean,
Is it just suicide bombings that are bad?
Hang
Is
on.
it just suicide bombings
Hang
that are
on.
bad?
Genocide being the stated intention of Hamas, and then enacted by their wave of suicide bombings against civilians.
So are you saying?
And that's what you're That's what
So
you're
I got another
agnostic
question.
on.
I got another question.
That's what you're agnostic on.
No, I am agnostic on that actually.
I
don't think it's easy to determine. I don't think it's easy to determine when a liberative struggle that includes the death of innocent people or / civilians.
Yeah.
I don't know the line at which it becomes evil because I don't know a lot of
Maybe when you do
I don't know a lot of
suicide
revolutions
bombing.
that didn't include the execution of civilians. You know.
Right.
I don't cheer.
You know, it's funny you mention that.
Or
I don't
deny
know.
that it's happening. By the way.
Of the 100 wars that are happening in the world, now back of the envelope, I don't know any in which children aren't dying. Do you?
I think war is bad.
Oh,
Do we agree on that?
Me too.
Okay. I also think that what's happening in Gaza is not a war.
Well, it's defined as such. You can try to
But-
change words like you did with Intifada.
Who's defines Gaza as a war?
Under the international law, it was declared, voted on and declared, and acknowledged as a war. Under international law, it's a war.
So we now agree that international law is the determining factor on what is or isn't.
What we agree on is that the Gaza war, so named, is a war.
And you also said that the reason we know that is because of standards held by international law, right?
It's one of many reasons. It's also obviously a war.
So you want to lean on international law when it favors you, but you don't want to just carte blanche lean on it.
No. I'm
You're
just
picking and
defining
choosing
war.
international law.
If you didn't know what war was,
You're picking and choosing when you can defer to international law, aren't you?
no, I'm defining war, which I'm surprised.
And I said, who's the authority on the definitions? And you said international law.
What authority would you like? Well,
I'm
go to your
happy to go
authority.
with international law. You want to go with international law as a standard bearer for what isn't ethical practice of war, or like it's up to you.
The thing in this place should not be person.
Do you want to both agree? Do you want to both agree on like international?
You said it wasn't a war, and I corrected you.
I said I don't think it's a.
It's not.
Right, and you were wrong.
No,
And you just,
why was I
and you
wrong?
just admitted it.
Why was I wrong?
Because it is defined as such.
By who?
It was officially declared
By who?
by the parties who are responding in this war, obviously.
Which parties?
What parties are involved in this war?
I'm asking you. Tell me who said it.
You don't know? If you don't know what... Everybody involved understands that it's a war, except for you articulate niggas.
I heard the way you say niggas, and you love to say it that way.
How would you like to say it?
I just prefer you never try to say it again. But
Okay,
do you?
change your name. Change your
No, you
name.
said that. We have a first and last name.
Make more sense.
I call you El Nazi then. We'll just go with that. Alright.
Well, I can call you El Schmuck.
Well, I don't mind. I can't disagree with that part.
Okay.
But so the question is like when you lean on like authorities for what is or isn't.
I'm not leaning.
Well, you did.
If you don't know what is a war, I just told you.
Well, I would argue that what's
Let's
happening
look
in
up
Gaza
the
is not-
definition of war. Armed force between states or between governments and organized armed group. Is
Can
that
a war
what
be a
you
genocide?
understand?
Can a war be a genocide?
Can a war be a genocide? So now we've understood that it's a war, right?
I don't particularly count genocide as lawful warfare, and so I don't
Nobody
qualify
said
it
that
as.
we did. Nobody did.
I think-
It started with. So,
That's why I said I don't think it's a war.
but you're mistaken, and you just admitted that you were mistaken.
No, I think we just have a disagreement on what is or isn't war, and I think just
Okay,
war
I'll
is
try
bad.
again. I'll try again. War.
Mhm.
the use of armed force between states or between government authorities and organized armed groups.
Mm-hmm. What nation what two nations are fighting a war right now in Gaza?
Doesn't say nations.
A state-armed conflict.
Listen again. Between, hang on, I read it to you. Between states or between governmental authorities and organized armed groups like Hamas.
Okay. So there's no ethics on. So what? I am saying that.
Yeah.
I am saying that, and I think many people would say that this would not qualify as a war.
So Hamas is not an organized armed group?
I mean, depends on how you define organized.
You're an idiot.
Maybe.
Yes. No, definitely. We're done, I think, right? You don't have anything to say. Bad job.
Good. You got something to say? I see you're chiming in the chat.
Ooh.
Go. Saying a lot in the chat.
You're embarrassing yourself and the whole room.
I do that on a daily basis, but I'm still not.
I would stop it if I were you. It's dumb.
No, I mean, I don't think I don't feel embarrassed, but I agree
that's
with
even
this
worse.
combo.
That's
no, I
even
don't
worse.
feel embarrassed at all, actually.
That's even worse.
I mean, Norm, you're not the arbiter of what is good or bad, so.
No, I read it, but I'm just reading it. Well, now that you've heard the definition of words and you want to stubbornly deny it, it's very bad. Israel formally declared war on Hamas on October 8th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
This declaration followed the surprise. This declaration followed the surprise attack launched by Hamas from the Gaza Strip into Israel on October 7th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The government's formal declaration of war was made the following day. The decision was made in accordance with Section 40 of Basic Law. The government, as amended.
Okay, so I believe, and this is my view, you don't have to have it, I think what makes something constitutes a war is that there has to be some level of symmetry between the two sides.
That's not part of the definition.
Norm, I said one thing, Norm, and I let you go. I just said nothing.
That's not part of the definition. You'd like it to be, but it is not.
Oh, so you just think anything is war as long as like?
No, I like the definition I read.
Okay, I like what I'm reading, and I let you read.
Okay, let's hear what you're reading.
Okay.
What are you reading? I'll look it up there. What are you reading?
I'm just giving you my opinion, and
No, so you're not reading. So you're making up definitions.
I'm giving you my view. You can deal with the argument.
Definitions.
Norm,
making up the definitions of words doesn't help an intelligent conversation.
Norm, I'm gonna give you one more chance to let me get this out without you interrupting me.
I don't need any chances from you. Do you like the American Heritage Dictionary? A lot of people use that. I keep one on my shelf.
I read the definition of war, Norm.
For dinglings like you. And now I will read you the American Heritage Dictionary.
I guess it's a just war in Gaza.
You can run away.
I'm not running away. I just don't like being interrupted. If I don't treat you a certain way, I'm a golden rule type of guy.
Yes.
And so I let you talk, and I'm asking for the same respect. If you don't have that ability, that's why I don't talk to you often.
You don't need to. I'm not sitting around waiting for you to talk to me.
You were. You begged for this interaction, and now we're here. You literally begged. I said, hey, Norm, I don't want to talk to you because you're not going to be fair in the conversation.
War.
So I'm asking for you to
hang on. War.
I'm not going to. We're just going to keep talking and ruin the room now because I really did try, Norm. I really did try.
Please don't whine.
No, I'm not whining. This is not a whine.
A stage or period of armed conflict between nations, states, or parties.
Okay, so now can I talk without you interrupting? So now can I talk without you interrupting, or are you just gonna like?
So let's hear. So pick up any dictionary and read me a definition for any dictionary.
I already did that.
No, you didn't.
I did actually. You were too busy yapping.
No, I wasn't. I'm listening closely. What dictionary? I asked you what dictionary. You wouldn't answer. What dictionary?
I don't know what dictionary.
You don't know what dictionary?
You have a dictionary open right now?
Yes, I just opened the American Heritage Dictionary, opened it and read you the definition of war.
And I accepted that definition, by the way.
Okay, so is Hamas a party?
I think Hamas is a group.
Okay, so then it's war. Next question.
So then the question remains, if you are fighting any group, is it warfare and all acts within that conflict justified by the nature of it being warfare.
Never said any of that.
Well, then that's
I
what we're having an
started
actual
with-
disagreement on, Norm.
I beg your pardon?
I said it was a genocide. You said it wasn't. It's war.
No, well, that's a separate
I
question.
wouldn't call it
I
a
didn't-
genocide, and I wouldn't call it from that perspective anything to do with a genocide. I call
Oh, I thought that was Hector for a second. I thought that was Philip.
Most
My
people
bad,
do.
Phil. Like, Phil, you wouldn't call that.
Okay, so now we understand that Israel is at war with Hamas, which was kind of obvious, so it's a little silly to protest.
No, I don't think we understand that. We do understand that
We don't understand it?
No,
Okay, which part of the definition of war was not met? Or would you
No,
like a
because I
different
don't think the stated. I think if you use the stated, if you use statements that come from people that are prosecuting the war, you can easily argue that the intent is not to have a war with Hamas, but instead to exile, cleanse, and eradicate that region of Palestine.
And yet nobody has done that, weirdly.
There's already estimates from Harvard. They say 377,000 citizens have been killed. I don't know if that number.
Well, I don't know where would Harvard get that information?
They use some technology to be able to mark
Okay.
footprints in the region through GPS mapping.
Okay.
So the estimate is around 377.
Okay, so it sounds like they made it up, and it sounds like you're making
So
it
the
up.
question from you is,
Yeah.
what amount of citizens could die for you to be like, oh, it was a genocide? Like, how much would it be okay for you to be like, okay, that was a genocide? How many citizens could die in Gaza? And you go, okay, maybe that was a genocide.
How many of them were combatants?
The 377 was civilians.
Well, there's no
There's only
377 anymore.
20,000. There's only 20,000 Hamas agents in Gaza. So
How do you know that? Wait, where'd you get that number from?
Israel.
Really? Where?
Yeah.
From Haaretz?
Yep.
Where'd they get their number from?
I don't know. You have to look at the article.
I don't
Estimating
know.
30 to 50.
I don't
the ranges,
know what
the,
war
the
means.
generally. How many guys?
I don't know
do you think
what
are?
war means. I don't know what genocide means. I don't know where the West Bank is, but I got opinions.
I know where the West Bank is. Norm, how many
You do?
Gaza's?
But you didn't know who was in charge of the West Bank when they invaded
We already went
Israel.
over that. There was no disagreement over who runs portions of the West Bank, Israel, and who runs Palestine.
Well, you said it was occupied, but you thought it was a country.
The
and then
West
you
Bank
learned that it
is
wasn't.
occupied. The West Bank is occupied by Israel.
Which part?
The part that is currently occupied by Israel. The B part.
Which part is that?
Section B of the part known as the West Bank is occupied by Israel.
Sir, it's known as Judea and Samaria. It was named the West Bank by.
You just said we're from the West Bank and now
It was named. It was named the West Bank by Jordan, and as I told you before, it is governed by a treaty known as the Oslo Accord, signed by both parties. How can that be an occupation?
Well, like when you have a military
Israel has
presence that
violated the Oslo Accord.
Yes,
by
and so have the Palestinians.
No.
And so both
Israel
parties are in
had-
violation.
Israel initially
Yes.
and unilaterally violated with its settlements over 700,000 settlements that have been built.
There are not
on
700,000
territories.
settlements.
Over
sir.
700,000
There are not
settlements.
700,000
Over 700,000 settlements
Yes,
that
how
have
many were
been
there at the time?
built in the West Bank and East Jerusalem.
Did you say
You're a
700,000
liar.
settlements?
I don't know. Like you have to agree to tell the
Did
truth.
you
man.
say that Israel built
It's not even like-
700,000
it's not even like anybody's saying
hang on,
it's
let's
not
go back to the
occupied.
previous person. Did you say there were
Settlers.
700,000 settlements? Oh, okay. So how many settlers were there at the time that Oslo was signed?
It doesn't
Hello?
matter. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
then
We're talking about the
okay,
violation
okay.
of a treaty. Let's go back to the foundation.
Okay, so
Israel, by itself, unilaterally violated Article 31 of the
by
Oslo
itself and
Accord.
unilaterally.
Yes,
So
yes,
the Intifada
unilaterally.
is the
Because
Intifada
no side by
violation.
itself, no side by itself is supposed to change the status of the territory. Israel
Okay.
did that initially. Palestine or Hamas.
It did it
responds.
initially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Israel initiates it. Israel initiates it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Is the Intifada a
We're
violation?
not talking about the Intifada. We're talking about how Israel violated Article 31 of the Oslo Accord. I'm not talking about the Intifada.
Okay,
That's
so
what you're
what
talking
happened
about
first?
with articulate. I'm
What
talking
happened
about
first?
Article 31
Okay, tell me
of the
something.
Oslo Accord. I'm
Is
talking about
terrorism
Article 31
allowed
of the
under
Oslo
Oslo?
Accord.
What
Yeah.
happened first? The Intifada or the settlements, if you know?
What does that have to do with what's happening now? You're
Well,
saying that anything. You're saying
you
there's
said
any
unilateral.
justification for that.
You said unilateral. That means
No, I said-
one-sided. But
I
the
said-
Intifada was a violation that happened first. So it wasn't unilateral, it was bilateral violation. Yeah? Like killing
No.
Israeli civilians.
Wrong.
Yeah? What's wrong about it?
No. Wrong.
What's wrong about it? What's wrong? Tell me what was wrong about what I said. Unless you think, maybe you think that's not a violation of Oslo.
No, I think the argument is just plain that if they expanded settlements during Oslo Accords, they violated the Oslo
Right.
Accords. Like, why are you lying?
Right.
Why
And so
can't
the
you admit that?
Palestinians, I said it was bilateral.
Bilateral mean that they literally at the exact same time violated the Oslo Accords. Something happened.
No, actually the Palestinians violated it first. In
So,
fact, the
so the
Intifada,
Palestinians violated before the expansion into the West Bank?
yes, that is correct, sir.
Okay, can you show me evidence of that? There was no settlements?
Yes.
Show me
I
the
will
date the
tell you,
settlement started.
I
and the
will
date
tell
the
you
Palestinians
exactly
violated.
when, yes, I'm happy to tell you exactly when the second Intifada genocide began and its relationship to Oslo. First, let's look up together when was Oslo signed.
No, the issue is about dates.
September 13th, 1993. Now let's look up when did the second Intifada begin.
2000, I believe?
September 28th, 2000.
What people like to do is point to Palestinians reacting to settlement expansion, like
With genocide.
failed
With
peace.
genocide.
Yeah, no.
I object to
No,
it.
Israel has been engaging in years of aggression and occupation, and when the Palestinians respond, you all apply an asymmetrical moral.
Right.
No, you apply an asymmetrical moral lens to those involved.
No, it's not
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you are. Because
Again,
you
just
say that the second Intifada violated. The second Intifada violated the Oslo Accord.
Yes.
While you
Settlements
completely
back into the 70s. They were
but you
doing settlements in the 70s.
completely ignore all of the acts of aggression
There was
that
no-
the Israeli government
I'm not
engaged
ignoring
in
it.
over the years. Yeah, you
I
are.
didn't. No, I'm not.
Then why would you
I'm not ignoring
bring?
it at all.
Why are you bringing up occupied people's responsive violence as if it's symmetrical to a country that is backed to a country that is backed by the globe hegemon? That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
Wait a second. What is occupied, sir? Which part is occupied, and when was it occupied?
The West Bank was occupied in 1977, for instance. The
No,
Likud Party-
that's not
No,
the
you don't
question.
want to talk about it.
That's not the question. I'm asking the other person.
You said, when did the Oslo was in 1967,
We
right,
just
Norm?
went over this.
Oslo
So,
was 1967, right, Norm?
I beg your pardon?
We agree that Oslo was 1967, right?
No, that is incorrect. That is when the Yom Kippur
It is
War
not a
happened.
settled question whether the Intifada violates Oslo. It's not a settled
No,
question.
you don't think genocide
it's
is a
not.
violation of Oslo? Okay.
I don't
Maybe you're
think
comfortable
people
with
being
genocide of your
genocided.
people.
I
I'm
don't
not
think people
comfortable
being
with the
genocided. I
I'm
don't
not
think people
comfortable
being
with the genocide of
genocided,
your
responding. I don't think being genocided and responding
Oh, my bad.
to entrapment and
Yes,
a whole range of
entrapment.
other acts of aggression.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that that's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I never said it was the same.
You
Now,
speak
what am I
of it.
saying?
It's implied. It's
No,
implied.
it's not implying
It's
anything.
implied by the things
No,
you
I'm
cherry
very
pick. It's
careful with
implied
my
by the
words.
moral weight you
No,
assign
it's
to
not
different things.
implied.
Yes, it is.
You are
It's all
inferring
implied.
incorrectly.
It's shot through. Yeah.
You are inferring mistakenly, sir. I'm very careful
No, I'm
with
not.
my words. I
No,
say
I'm
what
not.
I mean.
No, I'm not. I'm not mistaken about anything.
You're mistaken about what you just inferred from my words. I'm correcting you. So I will say to you, when was the so-called West Bank named by a colonial power, Jordan? When was it occupied? If you know.
What do you mean? West Bank was
I'm
occupied
asking
by...
hang on. I'm asking the other fellow. When was it
Okay, you
occupied?
can ask him.
Well, you're going to change the subject. I'm asking the other fellow who inferred incorrectly from my very carefully worded statements.
Yeah, but Emperor wants to answer the question, so why can't the
You notice
Emperor
how-
answer the question?
You notice how quiet you got when I asked you a question? When
I'm not
was it
quiet about
occupied?
anything. What are you talking about? I don't care what you meant or what you said. You're wrong.
I know, you don't care what I
You're
said.
wrong.
You're just going to make it
Yeah,
up.
you're wrong. But you're wrong.
What
It
am
is
I
what it
wrong
is.
about? What am I wrong about?
Israel violated the Oslo Accord.
As did
Unilaterally.
as did the Palestinians. No, unilaterally means one-sided.
Yeah.
So
And
it
with the
wasn't
settlements,
one-sided.
they violated the settlements.
Yes,
The settlements violate the
and
Oslo.
so did the terrorists.
No, the
Palestinians
settlements were
against the Jews.
before. No, the settlements were before Palestinian
What settlements were before the
settlements
Palestinian
throughout the West Bank and East
Settlement.
Jerusalem.
What settlement? What
Why
settlement?
are you asking
Settlements go
questions?
back to
Because I am
immediately
pointing out
after the
that you
Six
are
Day
either mistaken or lying or
No,
accusing
you should
me.
do that instead of asking dumb questions. Prove where I'm wrong.
Well-
What settlements? What settlements? There are settlements. Settlement
Yeah.
Watch. There are a global organization that track all of them.
Okay.
There's settlements. Yeah.
Yes, and
Which is part of Israel's violent expansion policy, which is why.
Settlements are
Yeah.
violent.
Yes.
What is violent? How much is Israel?
Why are you asking
What
these
size is
stupid?
it?
Do you have an argument? Do you have a counter
Because it shows
argument?
How dumb
Do
your
you have
position
no?
is.
You should prove that through a counter argument.
I did.
You're just asking stupid
I said
questions.
that genocide was a violation of Oslo. You disagreed.
What are you talking
Okay,
about?
so the duty to not expand the settlements, right, does not stem from Oslo Accords. It stems from Geneva Convention,
Oh.
right?
That's it.
Prohibition of movement of the civilian
So the
population
Oslo Accords were not a
occupied-
treaty
I'm still
that both
speaking
sides
from
signed?
occupied territories. Oslo has nothing to do this. This is why
Really?
settlement expansion
How
is
interesting.
universally condemned even by these
How interesting.
allies.
So I hate you.
Thinking that, yeah, I guess. People want his workers out here.
Yeah, you know, I still don't understand why, like, how come they're not giving us more details about the Minnesota couple, the politicians who were assassinated? Like, I feel like I didn't get enough information about them.
Well, they had that funeral.
I know.
You did that cough one more time.
I don't know that story at all. You're talking about the members, Congressman.
Yeah, I mean, like, they said, like, you know, oh, he impersonated a police officer, you know, went in the house, killed them. But, like, why don't we know more?
Because the right can't politicize it, that's all. And the left.
Oh, well, here we go. I don't even want to. I hate to empower this narrative, but fine. We're gonna put it out there.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Let me go on.
I know it. But no, I'm just saying we had this conversation yesterday, so I'm just gonna read what it says. It's a man. He's given his testimony. So he says. The title is America Describes His Town After ICE Raids. And the man who's speaking is called Black Man's Thought 2.0. A few days after ICE. So he says, in 1 week, I have seen in my city black men power washing parking lot.
Not incredible. Got the whole thing recorded. Just like John Kitover on YouTube right now. How you doing, John? We're watching you on YouTube, brother. See you on Anonymous. You're, 1 second, Ozzy, you're either the lips or the guy in the middle. We can see you're Anonymous on YouTube. We've got all your channels. You guys go back to
Before we go back to killing babies, so you really think that, like, there would be no
Well,
way...
hang on a second. We were talking about you killing babies, sir. Let's not squirm out of that. We were talking about you, articulate Negus, killing babies in the Intifada. In fact, killing babies in a genocide of Jews during the Intifada. That's what we were talking about. Did you lose track of our conversation?
No one asked a question, then you can go back to, like, drinking.
Okay, so you want to go back to killing Jews in a genocide? Or do you want to back away
I
from
want
that?
to go back to the conversation we were all trying to have before you started.
We were trying to have it.
Drinking child blood on stage.
Yes, I don't think you should do that, by the way. But if you like the taste of Jewish blood, then you're going to have to live with yourself.
You're bloodlusted.
No, I'm blood. Well, wait, one of us just said they were agnostic on the subject of genocide against the Jews.
No, I'm agnostic on the subject of how many civilians are qualified as, like,
We never discussed that.
I didn't hear you let me finish saying what I discussed. Just to be clear,
You're talking
you asked me if the reason I was pro or anti-Intifada was based on how many civilians.
I asked you how you were on suicide bombings of Israeli citizens. And you said you're agnostic on the suicide bombings of Israeli citizens, i.e. drinking Jewish blood.
Man, I'm becoming worried. Hold on, let me tell you something. Good, I'm becoming worried about you, actually. I don't know. Are you not seeing the worry? I mean, maybe you should leave the leftists alone, actually.
He's making it worse.
No, just keep quiet. Articulate, I'm looking to you. Hold on, articulate, hold on.
Me and nobody want you to stop, go.
Hold on. Yeah, no, this has not, me and you are not in the same line. I'm just saying,
we're on the same page.
2 days ago, some leftist Marxist said that anytime he hears God speaks, a rage of anger boils in him.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what he's doing.
Can I finish articulate? This reminds me of the way Roger of Healthy Debates used to go at Dr. Copeland. And Roger hates that guy with more than the devil. If Roger sees Dr. Copeland, he might kill him. I am becoming worried. I mean, seriously, good. I don't know. You should think about it. I mean, it's not that deep. And you can go and articulate.
Thank you, Oni.
This is becoming ridiculous. I was in a room with Kevin. I don't think we were talking about goods, right? And I said, like, why is goods being mentioned? I just left it like, that's a concerns me. And
it's the most emotional I've ever heard go. It really is emotional. He hates Bernie. And anything
nothing wrong with hating Bernie. Nothing wrong with hating. I don't like Bernie too.
But you can't let it control you. You can't. I don't like Bernie for the same reasons Goat doesn't. But you can't just let it be this thing where anybody that sounds like Bernie is now a racist, radical leftist that's trying to kill people.
Okay. But somebody said in the room that anytime he listens to Goat speak, he feels a rage of anger.
He's bullying people.
Who's bullying people?
Goat is bullying leftists. They don't know everything.
You know?
Goat's a bully. He's been bullying kids for 6 days because they were happy about Mondani.
But you know how leftists bully me on this app? Like,
how can you be bullied? You have a job and a house and a happy wife.
What does that mean?
It means you can just turn the app off. People who are like crashing out online are missing things.
I stopped giving them I started putting them back. I became radicalized, so I don't get what you're saying. Anyway, you can continue to stop.
No, you don't. You can't be radicalized by people who are mad online. But I do wonder if there's some, like, if you don't have, like, a personally, racially oppressed viewpoint of the world, wouldn't you also think Citizens United is, like, somehow, like, the worst thing ever? Because if you were white in America in 1960, you really didn't think a country worked. Or 1970, you thought the vote mattered. But to them, it's like, well, nobody's vote matters now. That's how they feel. Like I forget what the study said. Who did the study? They said that the determining factor in who wins elections is largely based on where the lobby money goes these days. And I know you're saying that there's exceptions to that, but that's generally speaking the case.
It is not.
I'll look up the study.
El Nomo, do you support the United States revoking visas of people who shout threat to IDF?
Do I revoke United States revoking the visas of who?
People who shout threat to the IDF.
He said, do you support, not do you revoke?
I did listen to that guy's album.
No. Do I support revoking the visas of people who shout? No, I don't support revoking visas for speech. No, I do not.
Oh, that's surprising.
Why would it be surprising?
I really didn't think you would say that. Out of all people on this app, honestly.
People don't think or know me very well or understand me. That's okay.
So
if they make material actions in support of terrorist groups, yes. If they lie on their visa applications, yes, which is a violation. It's actually in the visa application. If you lie, it could be revoked.
What's material action?
Anything you do physically to support a terrorist group is material action or material support.
So just Hamas? Would that be Hamas only, or would that be Palestinians?
Palestinians are not a terrorist group.
I mean, Hamas is them like they are.
I'm sorry. No, that's not accurate. Don't change the subject. We're talking now about visa revocation.
Women and children.
Well, if you're asking me if of the 100 wars happening right now, women and children die in war, of course. Why would Israel be different? You think we have special things that only kill people who are not women and children? By the way, are women and children sometimes used as weapons of war by Hamas? Yes, there's a UN report about it. So it doesn't make them exempt, and it doesn't mean that they're...
what that means?
So are you saying now that if I shout free Palestine, free Palestine, my visa will not be revoked? I'll be given an American visa?
Will not and should not, and won't be.
But there are people whose visas have been revoked for shouting free Palestine, for writing
I don't think... Well, okay, that's not shouting free Palestine. And I said that if you lend material support to a terror group or an enemy of the United States, or if you lie on your visa application, or if you commit crimes such as harassment or trespass or vandalism, those are material acts. They fall into a different category than First Amendment expression of freedom of speech. So I'm okay with yelling.
Kind of like how the Israeli government were vandalizing Palestinian homes during the peace process.
Oh, I don't think that.
Okay,
We'll have to see. But again, that would only mean that their visa would be revoked.
We'll have to what?
And since they're not in the United States, they don't have. We'll have to see the validity of your claim. But we're discussing visa revocation.
How would we see that?
By examining the factual or lack of factual substance of your claim.
The dead bodies.
What dead bodies?
So
what dead bodies? Wait. What dead body do you want to look at?
No, I was just
yes.
Yes.
You don't know.
So
you're just throwing words out.
Yeah.
Dead babies. Dead babies. Dead babies. You sound like a vaccine nut too. Are you one of those vaccine nuts? Are you?
Sure.
Are you a vaccine nut?
Absolutely, I have a vaccine. I took a vaccine and I like to bust a nut.
You like to bust a nut? Well, that's a good information to have.
Well, good for you.
Under what circumstances?
Anything involving your mother. Check this out.
Really? Okay, so you know her?
No, but I love
you. Would you like to be introduced? She's old.
No, hell.
You like those Jewish ladies? Well, then why did you say that? It was careless of you, wasn't it?
No, I just don't like
you shouldn't be careless when you speak to me. It's a mistake.
Am I supposed to be intimidated?
Not at all. You should be careful.
I could never be intimidated.
You could never be careful or intimidated about raping my mother. And you're the victim in that conversation. What do you know? What do you know? You threatened to rape my mother, and you're the victim. Amazing. I feel sorry now. I didn't mean to victimize you when you threatened to rape my mom. Huh. I am. But the word came out of your mouth, not mine.
This is getting ridiculous.
I don't know.
This is getting
Let's move on.
Can we move on? Hold on. Can we move on? Let's
I don't remember who it was. But I was like, the white guys leaving black folks out of the union. Y'all did that on purpose because it became like a social club. And you see this guy talking about you had to know somebody and be connected to get on the crew. Exactly. And if you were not connected, you were left out. So a lot of black men and women were not even included in the union. That was the battle. And then the Mexicans came, right? And undercut, like these corporations, they're just greedy. So, okay, fine. They came, they undercut you, and now you bad. And now you looping black folks into your nonsense.
Exactly, that's the goddess. I mean, it's like, it's funny because what you just said just reminded me of a situation I experienced yesterday. I was in the elevator, and this